Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wa tammit taslim ala nabiyyina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa tabi'ina lahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin amma ba'd. Distinguished guests, my dear brothers and sisters, this is our pleasure to welcome you all to today's lecture on wealth management and planning. And the lecture will be conducted by Dr. Anuar bin Shuib, inshallah. So, Islamic Economics Association of Kuwait University is very much privileged to conduct various types of activities, events, programs, training, workshops, which usually encompasses a wide range of areas and specializations of Islamic banking and finance. So as you know, we do have events and activities every day, both in Arabic and English languages. So today, our lecture will be conducted by Dr. Anuar bin Shuib, who is Life Underwriter Training Council Fellow and American College and the Malaysian Insurance Institute, MII. He's also Chartered Financial Consultant from American College and the Malaysian Insurance Institute, Registered Financial Planner, Malaysian Financial Planning Council, MFPC, and also Sharia Registered Financial Planner from Malaysian Financial Planning Council and the Global University of Islamic Finance in SIF. And Dr. Anuar is also Financial Planning Association of Malaysian IFP and Islamic Banking and Finance Institute of Malaysian IBFIM. He's also an executive master in Islamic financial planning from Open University of Malaysia and certification in Islamic finance. He achieved CQIF. And he is also a licensed and a qualified financial planning practitioner, as he is, and wealth manager, financial planner, and certified by Bank Negara Malaysian BNN, approved person, and Securities Commission Malaysia licensed person as well. Dr. Anuar is head of Islamic Financial Planning, VKA, Wealth Planners SG and BSD, and chairman of International Development Committee of MFPC and fellow members of MFPC. Currently, Dr. Anuar bin Shuib is the chairman of International Development Committee of Malaysian Financial Planning Council, MFPC. So this is our honor to welcome Dr. Anuar Shuib to conduct this lecture on sharing on development of Islamic wealth management and financial planning. Please welcome, Victor.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Thank you, Dr. Mahidin, for the introduction and opportunity for me to share with the audience today, inshallah. May Allah help us all in garnering the knowledge, sharing the knowledge, and live with the knowledge we have in our life, inshallah. Just let me bring the slide on the issues we're going to discuss, which will be on the Islamic wealth management and financial planning. The issues of wealth management as the whole is already being broadly discussed, and the amount of wealth being managed globally are tremendous. Then And one of the things, issues on the part of the wealth management is that where the Muslims' wealth being managed mostly in the past and still currently by the non-Muslim. So the issue is here, why not a Muslim acquire a knowledge to enable themselves to manage the wealth of another Muslim and also the non-Muslim. So that's where we are looking at the wealth management as the whole. And today we will focus on Islamic wealth management, whereby the Islamic wealth management itself also does attract the client or the people who are non-Muslim and love their wealth to be managed the Islamic way. I would like to share just a little bit on how it comes into picture on why even the non-Muslim also now would love their wealth to be managed by a Muslim. Among the issues and concern why even the non-Muslim also would prefer their wealth to be managed by a Muslim, among the point is that because of the principle that we have on the Siddiq, Amanah, Public, and Fadana. So this is a strong point of Islamic wealth management that consider a pull power towards the non-Muslim understanding about Islamic wealth management. In the Malaysia perspective, Islamic financial products, most of the Islamic financial product, and when we're talking about volume of the product of Islamic finance being consumed, being used by the non-Muslim. And that shows that Islamic finance product or Islamic financial product are very attractive. Let me go into the next slide, which I will touch on the issues, areas, opportunities, and etc. And bear in mind that during the session, if you do have a question to ask, yes, please do so. I have no issue to answer the question, because sometimes you think that if you don't ask the question now, you may not be able, you may forget the question. Yeah. Okay. Let me go into the. This will be items that I will touch. Understanding the primary goals, areas of growth, timeline. So Islamic wealth management is a management strategy whereby a person use financial or non-financial instruments to manage his wealth Islamically. The reason why a person needs these tools in order to manage his wealth prudently is that wealth comes in many forms, come in liquid and come in non-liquid. And when we're looking at the issues of maybe most people having the understanding that when we're looking at the wealth management, most people will tune their mind only thinking about fund management. Yes, nothing to be blamed on that, because when we're talking about wealth management, most people will just think about cash management. We'll talk about fund management, how they invest here and there, etc. And mostly about liquid position, which something that you can move from one country to another, one place to another, which you can turn into any form. But at the same time, in reality, wealth management does not limit it to only liquid fund management, unit trust, venture capitals, and etc. It even broader than that. When we're looking at the why I say broader than that, the wealth management also consists the liquid and unliquid, which maybe in the form of property, maybe in the form of some rights. So that's why when we're looking at the Islamic wealth management, it is very broad. But fund management is only part of Islamic wealth management. So it means to say that it is broad. Yeah? Okay, let me bring you to another part of it, which we are looking at the primary goal. Why we need to understand the primary goal? Because when we are looking at whatever we do in our life must be with objective. And we are looking at the objective. What will be our main objective, the prime objective? So the main objective of Islamic wealth management is to achieve al-falah, which means to be successful in this world and in the hereafter. Islamic financial planning, which the process is to look into one's financial circumstances and then take steps to solve problems and achieve financial goals. So what are those financial goals? So when we are looking at the financial goals can be very subjective. One person may have the financial goal which they wanted to, maybe he's looking to prepare a good education for their children. Another financial goal, maybe he wanted to do charity with a certain amount of money. Some person, maybe the financial goal is to ensure that they are having good retirement. And that's why it varies from one to another. And when we're looking at that, one person may have multiple financial goals. So when they have multiple financial goals, they need to address each issue one by one based on priority. So that's why the job, the function as the financial planner, financial advisor, wealth manager, so there are many names that come together. True enough, there are differences in how each one of them play their role based on their own understanding. But anyway, there are some basic similarities. What are those basic similarities? Basic similarities on this particular function of financial planner, financial advisor, and etc. is to help our customer to achieve their financial goal. So that is some similarity of each. And similarly, different jurisdiction may play differently. For example, I will take from my Malaysia side or Asia Pacific side, which maybe I will include Australia, Singapore, and Malaysia, for example. In the perspective of legal framework in this country, for example, in Australia, they have financial advisor and independent financial advisor. So what are the difference between the two? The financial advisor in Australia, they are attached to the firm or to the institution that develop and produce product. Maybe the product can be banking product and any other financial products, whereby the independent financial advisor is the person or the firm who do not represent any product provider, and they will usually only represent the client. So in the Singapore perspective, in Australia perspective just now, how the remuneration will paid to them basis on fee basis in Australia. So because the topic is about wealth management that I am supposed to discuss, so I will bring a little bit of understanding about the industry itself, about how the function of the financial planner and financial advisor, and at the same time, I need to relate about remuneration, because for people to participate in this particular industry to be the player, for sure, they wanted to see what kind of remuneration, what type of remuneration or fees are like, or earnings are like in this particular industry. So in Australia, the model is fee-based. And we go back, we look into the southern part of Peninsular Malaysia, for example, in Singapore. In Singapore, there are similar types of names which we call financial advisor and independent financial advisor. For regulators in Australia, in Singapore, they have only one regulators, whereas in Malaysia, we have two regulators. So in Singapore, the base of income for the practitioners in financial advisor and independent financial advisor are a combination of fee and commission based. And looking at the function, independent financial advisor are similar like what in Australia. So as the financial advisor, similar as in Australia. When we're looking at the model in Malaysia, there are slight differences. What are the difference? Number one, there are two regulators in Malaysia, which consist of Securities Commission and Central Bank of Malaysia, Bank Negara Malaysia. For financial advisor, they are under the jurisdiction of Central Bank of Malaysia, under Financial Services Act, Islamic Financial Services Act, whereby financial planner in Malaysia fall under Securities Commission, which using the Act of Capital Market Services Act, which they have not differentiate between Islamic and conventional in terms of act. They have similar act to govern both Islamic and conventional, whereas in Central Bank of Malaysia or Bank Negara Malaysia, we have two different acts to govern the Islamic financial products and services, and also conventional financial product and services. So these are the differences between three jurisdictions in this particular area of Asia Pacific. So when we look at the how do earning in Malaysia work? So in Malaysia, we are looking at the earning, some via only fee, some combination with the fee and commission, and some only via commission. So currently in Malaysia, we have about 57 financial planning and advisory firms which are approved by Central Bank of Malaysia and licensed by Securities Commission. Areas of growth. In order for us to look into growth, first we need to understand the size, because when we're looking about growth, it's about the differences from where we are right now, where we're going to grow. So for that, we need to look at the size of the industry. So let's look about on how big is the wealth management and financial advisory industry. So wealth management, if you look at it, the size of asset under management, about 103 trillion US dollar. This is based on the data on 2020. So as long as the amount continue to grow, and we can see that the growth are happening, except currently there are crises in Ukraine, and there are some other demographic changes that happen with the COVID-19 and etc. So there may be some challenge. And if you look at the current scenario, among the main contributor to the asset growth are the technology company or technology industry. So if you look at the products, services in the wealth management they are varies, because if you're looking at in the past, mostly we are looking at traditional financial products, but now we are looking at more varieties of product and more risky product we can see, and also services. Yeah? So I will share also about some historical part of it, which we're looking about wealth management, not only start now. It began way long before the existence of we call modern era. So let us go into wealth management. So let us look into the wealth management itself. So this is one part of the financial industry, whereby other part we're talking about product development, which normally financial industry will produce product, and then they will market the product, they will offer the product to intermediaries, they will market it directly, and etc. So that is another part of it, which I believe many people are clear on that particular part. But there are other part of it where something that you cannot simply access to that. And that is where come into the area of advisory. We are talking about services. We are talking about tailor-made product and services, which the focus on the wealthy client. So I believe many aware about services provided by common financial institutions such as bank, where they offer the product like premier banking product, private banking product, etc. Yeah? And normally the product and services offered based on the product available on the share. But we're talking about Islamic wealth management does not limit that. And even wealth management itself does not limit that. So it can be in many other areas. So for example, creating wealth management structure. Why people wanted to create a wealth management structure? People create wealth management structure because they have certain goals. What are the goals that require them to create that kind of wealth management structure? There's some people, they have huge amount of wealth, and when they have huge amount of wealth, they found it that it is not easy for them to move their wealth from one place to another, from one jurisdiction to another, which they need to move slowly. They have certain restriction and etc. So this is where we call it wealth management structure does come into place to assist those people that looking to get the services from the financial advisor, competent financial advisor, in order to help them structure out what are the best structure to them. I believe many of us have heard about the structure using the trust, structure using the foundation, structure using the offshore, and many other things. But the thing is that is those structure are something similar from one person to another. So which the answer is not. Normally, the structure for that need to be designed from one person to another will always be different. So why it is always different? The reason behind why it is always different, because of the background of the person differ from one to another. For example, for a client that coming from east part of the globe, for example, they have different concern. And For the client that coming from the western part of the world, they have different concern. That's one point. We are focusing on their concern. Next, we are looking on the legal aspect of where they are coming from. It's another issue. Whereby, for example, let me take if the person is the US citizen, where the US citizen, their tax is global. Anywhere they go, they need to pay tax to US. So this again, another challenge for them to create a wealth management structure. Whereas if you want to compare with Malaysian citizen, for example, we are taxed based on our where we derive that particular income. So if we do not derive that income from Malaysia, then we are not taxed in Malaysia, which is totally different than the US citizen. So that's why when we're looking at it, there are no same solution, there are no same structure from one person to another. Next, we're talking about the beginning part of it, which we're looking at from where the person coming from. But when we look at the other part of it, whereby we are looking at the where they're going to bring the wealth, where they're going to put the wealth at, what they're going to do with the wealth. That is again come to another challenge for a person to do. Yeah? Whereby when we look at the, for example, this person are more concerned about doing charity. So if the person has concern about doing charity, now, so what kind of charity he wanted to do? And if he wanted to do charity, is he thinking about doing charity privately? Or is he thinking about doing charity by doing it openly? So there are two different strategies. Whereby if you wanted to do it privately, there are different structure must be designed. Where if you wanted to do it openly, then there may be different structure to design. For example, in Malaysia alone, we have two different jurisdictions. For example, in Labuan, we call it as a mid-shore jurisdiction, which I would like to use one example. For example, say I use the structure of foundation. And if I use the structure of foundation, then the foundation in Labuan is having different set of law to govern them compared to the foundation in the peninsula or in the body of Malaysia itself. So which consider onshore. What are the difference between two, even both are called foundation? For the foundation in Labuan, you can do the foundation for private first, which nobody from outside the entity will know. Because the reason of that particular foundation is for you to protect the information of the owner of the foundation, who own the wealth, and etc. Whereas if you register a foundation in Malaysia as an onshore, different act will come into picture and will need approval from the ministry, for example, and it must be open. And the purpose is different between the two. And tax benefit, there are different tax benefit between the two. Whereas in onshore jurisdiction, you may want to create a tax benefit where you will apply from the income tax department to whoever wanted to donate their money, to contribute their money, or to contribute their wealth to this open foundation. They will get the tax benefit, which the amount up to the certain maximum amount allowable, they will get some kind of waiver. When we're looking at the private foundation, there are different kind of tax benefit whereby there are no such thing as waiver. But the thing is that your tax is slightly lower than what the tax that we apply in onshore of Malaysia, because that considered as midshore. So that's how when wealth management come into picture, we need to look into all these area, and that is not all the area. That I brought that particular area or that particular point only to highlight about what are the kind of main differences that we can easily see, so that we know how to compare why there are differences between one person to another, and why the wealth management solution, concern, and etc. will never be the same from one person to another. So other than that, is looking at the skies of wealth the person has, because skies of wealth also will call in, or we can say that we bring in another different challenges. For some people who are wealthy, they are having concern for them to move from one place to another. For sure, they are worried of kidnapping and etc. They're worried that their family members can be threatened. Wealth can harm their family members. Wealth can destroy the character of a person. And this is among the concern. That's why wealth management is a big industry. Wealth management is very important, and different part of the world may put in a different concern, depend on the demographic of people in that particular area. Okay, let us bring into the part of fees for structuring this. Yeah, just now I mentioned earlier the fee by financial planner, financial advisor itself. Now I'm going to discuss about what kind of fee that normally wealth manager will charge if they wanted to create a structure. So normally we're talking about multi-jurisdiction. The fee currently being charged in terms of US dollar. True enough, with the current things that happen in the world today, maybe some may be looking at charging using other currencies. So, but when we're looking at it, what kind of fees or size of fees that we look at? For example, when we are looking on the structuring of wealth management structure, normally it will begin with 150,000 US dollar and above. Whereby for financial planning and advisory on the retail business, the fee in Malaysia, which in ringgit, we are charging about 1,500 ringgit, 2,500 ringgit, and 5,000 ringgit. That's the range of differences on type of services in wealth management, which differences between retail, higher level, to we're talking about from mass affluent, from retail mass affluent, lower high net worth, and also ultra high net worth. So the fee structure are different. Similarly, the requirement for us to participate also will be different. One, when I said requirement to participate, doesn't mean on the legal framework structure alone, but the requirement in the real practice. For example, for financial planning and advisory, which I mentioned just now, maybe they are charging about the fee of 1,500, 2,500, and 5,000, or maybe is even slightly higher, maybe 20,000, 30,000, and etc. Doesn't require for them to work with many other professionals. Maybe small numbers of professionals may be enough. For example, maybe this is just the person who are capable of advising on risk management, and the person also capable to advise the estate and also with some investment may be enough for these types of services. But when come to area of high net worth until the ultra high net worth, the group of professionals required are totally different. Whereas, for example, on the legal advice itself, you may need the person or the legal advisor who are expert in international law, not only one jurisdiction, maybe multiple jurisdiction, a group of legal advisor, because there must be some differences from one jurisdiction to another. Similarly, to the issue of tax, it's not enough for you to have one tax advisor from one jurisdiction, because you may involve taxation from different jurisdiction. That on top of the issues we discussed just now about the structure itself, which need to be established based on different law. So why people wanted to do wealth management when they need to pay such amount of fee to the wealth manager or to the financial advisor or to whatever name you want to call it, yeah? As long as they manage your wealth. Okay, the reason behind why they wanted to spend, they don't mind and they're willing to spend those money because they wanted to save their money. They wanted to ensure that they can bring more money to the future generation. And they wanted to reduce the cost of their tax. So that's how things work, and that's among the main reason why it is like that. Okay, let me bring into the next slide. Shifting environment. So I did share about the changes that happen, about the demographic changes that happen, and etc. Just let me bring into what had happened and what to expect. So in 2007, 2008 financial crisis, there are big changes had happened. Why? Let me bring back to the past. The financial industry does evolve. Since we wanted to get the record quite tough and challenging for other parts of the world, what I can do, I will refer most of it to the US. So why? Because they have statistic or record of the stock market and etc. way back even into the World War and prior to the World War. So if you look at it, when the prior to World War II, we can see there's a financial crisis. And talking about 1929 and etc. Yeah? So there was a crisis, financial crisis. So many people have no work to do. Then when we see this happen, there are challenges to the government. The government need to make sure that they have enough job for their citizens. And that's where, if you look at one example, in Germany, they create factory. And that factory producing weapon. They produce weapon, then they are against challenge. You need to sell those weapons. And how to sell those weapons? You will need a war. So again, yeah, that's what had happened. And during those war, the one who benefited was US, because the Europe got to spend a lot of money to fight the war. And the US is the one that benefiting out of it. They also on top of the weapon that provided or being built in the West itself, in Europe itself, for example, they also brought in one from US. They need food, so US is the place that can provide them food. So that's how what happened during the World War II. So if you look at currently what is happening in the West, where we can see that the crisis in Ukraine, as we can understand, about 40% of the wheat market are supplied by Ukraine and Russia. So because of the crisis in Ukraine, globally face shortage of wheat. So these are, again, challenge are different. And now Russia is the one that supply gas to the Europe. Why I relate to what happened like this? Because I want to relate to the wealth of the Russian. So when the crisis in Ukraine started, so what happened? The West are creating a blockade. And they try to block the wealth owned by Russian from being used by them, whatever reason. Yeah? Some wanted to move it to the eastern part. And one of the attraction we can see during the Ukraine crisis was Dubai. So Turkey also one of the attraction that Russian wanted to move their wealth to. So, and this is the things that is happening currently. And why this is important for us to understand, for the country, they know that the wealth can be moved from one jurisdiction to another. And in current situation, people or countries will love to move the wealth to their country, provided they're able to provide a very good infrastructure for the wealthy people to move. Furthermore, currently, when we're talking about loyalty, the wealthy people are not that loyal, especially in the Western part. So they don't mind transfer their wealth from one jurisdiction to another as long as they can retain, they can protect from spending or paying out part of their wealth to somewhere else, government or etc. So that's why wealth management are a big business. So if you look at it, growth in the globally in wealth management, North America about 12%, Europe 10%, Asia Pacific 11%, Middle East and Africa about 12%. That is in 2020. And we look at the potential global growth between 2020 to 2030 can stay at 5%. So big opportunity for the wealth manager to come into picture to provide the service, especially Islamic wealth manager, because there are a lot of wealth belong to Muslim, need to be managed by Islamic professional wealth managers. So let us look at the future of professional wealth management. So from management of the billionaires fortune up to the lower rank, we're talking about small level personal financial advisor. There are opportunity for all of people who are in this industry to participate. You may choose to participate into the retail part. You can choose to participate in the ultra high net worth part. We're talking about small number of clients, huge amount of size of wealth. Or you want to go into the bigger number of clients, but small number of size of wealth per client. So it's a choice. I believe each one of us here being reading the news, informing about the strategy of renowned financial institution in the world, where they are changing the strategy and etc. on how they're going to grab the opportunity. Recently, people understood, if I believe the people know who is the richest person in Hong Kong. And I know this richest person in Hong Kong is this person has moved his wealth, because he's the richest person in Hong Kong since 1990, even until currently also he's the richest person in Hong Kong. What he did, he moved his wealth management structure from Hong Kong to Singapore now. Why he did that? Because he wanted to make sure that whatever happened in Hong Kong, he managed to protect his wealth for the next generation. So that's why we're looking at it. That is one part that I use as example. There are many other examples. For example, the American, they just throw their citizenship of America. They don't want to be American anymore. They wanted to be a Singapore citizen because they don't want to pay tax to America. So these are among the things that are happening. Yeah? And the country that managed to grab those opportunities to provide the service are the winner. And I can see among the Arab countries also now currently grabbing those opportunities. But whatever it is, we must prepare holistic. So how do we say we must prepare holistic? We must make sure that yes, they are firm that getting themselves ready. But what about the legal infrastructure? Must have legal infrastructure that friendly to these kind of activities. What about the people who wanted to be the player? Because the firm is one thing, you will need the player. So that's why the pinching of player are also happening in the market currently. With China, they also interested in this area. With the capital flight of about 1 trillion US dollar from Hong Kong to Singapore, managed to be refilled by China mainland wealth, which flow to Hong Kong to overcome the shortfall, which they are coming from Greater Bay. So what is Greater Bay? Greater Bay is similarly area of wealth management to attract people to come into the Greater Bay area. So these are kind of things that happening. So you can see expected 2025 to grow to 145 trillion US dollar. So I believe this is something that already happening. So where do we stay? We want to grab this opportunity. So this one question, does the weakness of Islamic legislative in some Islamic countries do not create the appropriate environment for investment in these countries? Okay, since I see this is quite interesting because specifically focus about Islamic legislative is being considered weakness. For me, I didn't see it that way, that it is a weakness, no. But we need to look at how we can take the opportunity from that situation. For example, like in Malaysia, for example, if you don't pay for car installment, you will never go to jail. But in some Arab country, you don't pay car installment, you will go to jail. So that's are the differences in law. But why still people from Malaysia would love to go to Arab? And so whatever it is, we must understand our local environment and how it can benefit people, be it the people from locals or be it the people from foreign countries. So that's the important point, is understanding self, and we can create it, what we can best create for it. Yeah. So for example, in Malaysia also we are dynamic. Yeah. For example, we wanted to invite people to invest in Malaysia. So in order for us to invite people to invest in Malaysia, we wanted to make sure that people come here, they can simply open up businesses easily and running the business fast. Those time prior to 2016, you got to have 2% to be the director of the company. But now it doesn't require it anymore to have two directors. And so as many other things, which that I can use only one example because we don't have much time. But that is one of the examples. There are many other things, yeah, that we can do. Very good question. Thank you so much. So what is the difference between a financial advisor and financial planner? So this in Malaysia, pardon me, because under the Central Bank of Malaysia, the spelling is not financial advisor, SOR, but SER. But I use SOR because if I put ICR, people will ask for the question. But never mind, I already answered this question now. Financial advisor in Malaysia governed by Central Bank of Malaysia, whereby under Capital Market, under Financial Services Act and Islamic Services Act, whereby under the financial planner is governed under Capital Market Services Act under Securities Commission of Malaysia. So in terms of common understanding outside, maybe across jurisdiction. So financial planner is also play the same role, kind like financial advisor. But when you say planner, it's more toward planning ahead, longer time horizon, and etc. Advice, normally you're talking about what had happened now. How can I make sure that I comply to certain requirement and etc. So that's how people perceive financial planner and financial advisor. But that doesn't matter in reality. What important is that you know your niche market, who are your clientele or potential clientele that you can serve. So let us look at the largest wealth management firm that we can see and how they reap their benefit. I believe you know reap the benefit is by fee. Yeah? Even though in Malaysia, bank also are going for fee-based earning. Rather than last time, they are looking for earning from the profit rate. Yeah? So now they're going to fee-based earning. So BlackRock is considered largest wealth management or asset management in the world with the size of 10 trillion US dollar as of January 2022 with 70 offices in 30 countries. And prior to that, there are other size, big size wealth management company or asset management company that collapsed too. Yeah? So it means to say that you saw, oh, how can we compete with them? No. In wealth management, it's not their size that can compete. With the big size, they have different challenge. With the smaller size, they have different challenge. For example, post-financial crisis 2008, there are many boutique wealth management or financial advisor open up. And where this come from? The one that been serving the big financial institution, they resign, they bring together their customer, and the customer prefer to be served by this kind of wealth manager or financial advisor. And with that, they can serve the customer better and customer become happier. So as the issues of governance, issues of environment, issues of social, which many people are concerned. They don't want you to invest into a product that harm the environment, and etc. So this is again another opportunity that we can help ourselves to focus on how we can help our client to satisfy themselves into their wealth to be managed to comply with all these requirements. Okay. So as the whole, wealth management is advisory services offered by bank, financial institution, and in Malaysia, when I say financial institution in Malaysia, they are not only a bank, but financial advisory firm also we can consider as financial institution. But the difference is that financial advisory firm, we are not deposit taking. We are not allowed to take deposit, but we can charge fee. So only bank are allowed to take in the deposit. So this a little bit of timeline on wealth management itself. So prior to 1800, there are also wealth management, but in a different format. They normally will hand over, and mostly we are talking about in the West, and also they are in the East. The thing is that since the West are the one who introduced this term of wealth management, that's why people mostly referring to the West. Whereby, for example, during the crusade, those time, they pass their wealth to another person. Normally it's paternal. So because they don't give to women, women cannot own wealth in the West during the time. So when they come back from the war, they will go and take back. So after that, then lawyers come into practice, etc. So 1800 onwards, lawyer play important role in managing wealth of the person or family. In the 1980s onwards, people, the name of family office itself being introduced and getting famous. People know about family office. Their wealth being managed properly with the family office. Then post the 1980s, there are evolution happened in the family office itself, which evolved to be multi-family office and etc. And 2022 onwards, because of COVID-19 and etc., the digital economy coming into picture, digital wealth management also coming into picture with robo-advisory, with artificial intelligence, with machine learning and etc. So taking a different with NFT, with cryptocurrencies, with digital currencies, all things are taking different types of scenario again. So that's a little bit of the wealth management. So we can see that the wealth management industry is always evolved. Changes always happen, dynamic. If you talk about the recession, people always talk about Great Recession and etc. So what happened now? Is it recession? For the wealth management, recession is important point of time. If you study back in history, every recession, the wealthy will get richer. We get wealthier. So why? Because their wealth being managed better compared to the not wealthy one. Always the not wealthy will getting poorer and poorer on every recession or economic downturn that happen. So that's, I would like to come to this. Business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming, by Richard Branson. So with that, I'll end my session and I'll open for any question if there are or not. And I hope that I already did answer the first one on the weaknesses there. And if, okay. How high net worth client.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Haji Razli has question here. Do you allow me to answer this?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Salam, how high net worth client from Kuwait can appoint professional financial advisor or planner to manage their wealth in Kuwait? Can you enlighten about MAPC Arif as stated on your slide? Thank you. Okay, okay, thank you so much, Haji Razli. So this Arif is where the professional, the senior people in the financial industry in Malaysia team up together to offer their services to all parties who need it. Doesn't matter from any country or any jurisdiction. So that is Arif, yeah. And then MFPC is Malaysian Financial Planning Council. The formation was mooted by our former governor of Central Bank of Malaysia in 2004. And with that formation, we created a program to manage personal wealth, or we call it Shariah RFP, Shariah Registered Financial Planner, which we bring to, after Malaysia benefited from it, we now bring it in to outside Malaysia. And recently, I already brought it to East Africa, and I did discuss in Arab with Qatar, and yes, any countries, any countries who are interested to have collaboration with us, inshallah, we are willing to work through. And I can't generalize how the works will be because it depends on each particular countries that what are their needs, wants, and concern, which if there are ways that we can have a collaboration or working, then yes, we can do. So for the fund, the one who needed the wealth manager, for example, yes, they can contact either Arif, or they can contact the MFPC, or they can contact me also, no issue, inshallah. Thank you so much for Dr. Haji Razli for the question, and I hope that does highlight the function of Malaysian Financial Planning Council and also Arif. So I pass back to Dr. Mahidin.
Yes, thank you, Victor, for the response, and thanks to Haji Dr. Razli as well for the question. So, any more question? I think you may also raise your hand. We can switch on microphone. Whoever would like to comment or ask any question verbally, so no problem. Or you may write in the question box. Doctor, there is a question from Brother Salah. Does the weakness of Islamic legislative in some Islamic countries do not create the appropriate environment for investment in these countries?
Okay, yeah, I think just now I already answered, but never mind, I just repeat that again, yeah? Okay. Yeah, that when we say that weaknesses, maybe weaknesses in certain area, but for sure there are other parts that are better. For example, let me bring to some country, they don't charge a tax, or tax more beneficial for people, but the law may be different. For example, the action or the punishment for something that light in other country, in that particular country, the punishment is greater. But that's why I believe there's no way any singular country they can have only the best part without having the weaknesses part. So it's depend on us how we're going to highlight the best part of it. So I can answer it generally because I cannot pinpoint to any particular country, but during the advisory work normally, yes, we got to pinpoint to particular countries, concern and issues. But on this session, I can't, because otherwise then I may put myself into trouble. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are waiting for any more questions or comments from the guest, online guest.
Okay.
So in fact, our all lectures and all workshops are recorded in our YouTube channel, but in Arabic, Nadil Iqtisad al-Islami, YouTube channel name in Arabic, Nadil Iqtisad al-Islami. So all lectures are there. So if anybody would like to re-listen to lectures or talks, so you can find all the lectures there in the YouTube. And we do have also our website, sharia.org, sharia.org. Usually we upload all the lectures, links of the lectures and articles there in our website. I believe that anybody visit the website will benefit, inshallah. So any more question? I think there is no more question. If there is no more question or comment, we need to conclude the session. So on behalf of Islamic Economics Association of Kuwait University, we'd like to thank you very much, all participants, online guests, and also students from the classroom. There are also numbers of students who are joining from the classroom. So we thank you all for joining us. And we thank our management board, including Director General Dr. Ala Lorbeid and other members in the association. And our special thanks to our guest speaker, Mr. Anuar Shuib, for your time, for your effort, and this detailed presentation and explanation on the development of Islamic wealth management and financial planning. So we thank you very much, and we hope to see you again in any other session very soon, inshallah. So if you have any remarks, Prof, so you may say some words.
Thank you, Dr. Mahyudin. Thank you to the organization that make this event successful. Thank you for the trust given, and would like to say I'm sorry if there are any weaknesses during my session of from 5 o'clock just now until now. And please, I hope, inshallah, may Allah bless us all with the lesson learned from this and sharing, and inshallah all the session may benefit us in our life, inshallah. Assalamualaikum.
Ameen. Walaikum assalam. Thank you very much. With that, we are ending today's session here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه، وبعد. أحبتنا الكرام،
نتشرف باللقاء بحضراتكم في موائد النادي العلمية، ونسعد بأن نزف إليكم مواعيده الأسبوعية خلال شهر نوفمبر بحول الله تبارك وتعالى.
فبالعلم تبنى الأمجاد وتقوم الحضارات وتسود الشعوب. العلم يبني بيوتا لا عماد لها، والجهل يهدم بيت العز والكرم.
ما الفضل إلا لأهل العلم، إنهم على الهدى لمن استهدى أدلاء. فقم بعلم ولا تطلب به بدلا، فالناس موتى وأهل العلم أحياء.
برامجنا ثرية ومتنوعة، نهدف من خلالها إلى خدمة طلاب العلم في جميع أصقاع العالم الإسلامي. فمرحبا بكم جميعا، نسعد دائما بخدمتكم.
تكامل وتناسق وتناغم في المواضيع مع التنوع والثراء. سارعوا إلى التسجيل على برامج النادي لحضور مجالسه، فإنها مجالس الجنان.
وأن إنقاذ الناس من الضلالة وإخراجهم من الظلمات إلى النور أفضل قربة، فلأن يهدي الله بك رجلا واحدا خير لك من حمر النعم.
The programs and activities usually cover a wide range of areas in Islamic banking. microfinance, insurance, capital market, equity market.
هذا العرض المتنوع سيعمل على إنجاحه طاقم علمي جد متميز من الأساتذة والخبراء وأصحاب الفضيلة العلماء، فننصحكم بالمتابعة وعدم تضييع سانحة المشاركة، ونرجو أن تجدوا في برامجنا دوما الأفضل والأحسن.